At a recent retreat of the National Assembly Joint Committees on Labour, Employment and Productivity, conversations centered on the role of social security in achieving economic resilience with NSITF emerging as a focal point of reform efforts. The fund's turnaround under Managing Director Oluwaseun Faleye was acknowledged, particularly in the area of prompt claim processing and institutional accountability.
We are here in Lagos today because we understand that transformation is a continuous journey, not a destination. This retreat is therefore not a ceremonial exercise. It's a working mission, even though the National Assembly is in recess. The motivation and commitment of members to be here this morning, despite that, in their large numbers, speaks to your commitment to these issues. It is therefore an open invitation to reimagine how governance, oversight, and operational leadership can reinforce the values of safety, justice, inclusion, and impact.
But participants at the retreat also emphasized that legal backing and state-level enforcement remain major gaps in Nigeria's social security ecosystem, one that still leaves many workers unprotected.
Equitable compensation to the employee who suffers diseases, injuries, and disabilities, or in the case of death, to their dependents. Other benefits include, but not limited to, ensuring children of the deceased worker are taken care of and educated to degree level. Secondly, payment of medical bills of beneficiaries. And thirdly, providing vocational rehabilitation to get the worker back on the path of productivity.
As stakeholders push for a broader legislative framework and increase public awareness, the spotlight remains on how well NSITF can sustain its reforms and deepen trust in social insurance system.
Ensure workplace standards.
With unemployment and underemployment still a challenge in Nigeria, many believe social protection is no longer optional but a necessity. When workplace accidents strike, they raise bigger questions about social security, compliance, and the safety nets available to Nigerian workers. Beyond the pain of injury or loss, the challenge often lies in how survivors and families can rebuild their lives. I met with Ademola Femi Peter in his home in Ipaja, Lagos. He recounts how a normal day on his way to work ended in tragedy. A trained fire and safety expert, his accident left him unable to walk again.
I stayed in Islands. During the weekends, I come around to see my family. So on my way back to Islands, where I work, that is when the incident happened. Some other people too were affected because the general public was not my car. But when the incident happened, everybody find his own level, and it's you and your family that you bear the brunt. And that is how we've been managing since the incident happened. I was advised in the hospital that I should be doing my physiotherapy, which they said that is the only alternative that I have for now. I have to engage a personal physiotherapy, which I do pay 100,000 every month. So I make it everyday routine, because most of what we understand about spinal cord, they said the first 6 months, whatever you can regain determines the level of the permanency or some of the activity you'll be able to do aftermath. So because of that, I try as much as possible based on the advice, and I was trying to do it. So, and here we are.
After weeks at the National Orthopedic Hospital, initial support from his employer ran out. But through the NSITF, Ademola has since received monthly compensation, helping him sustain his family and rebuild his future.
Since the accident happened, NSITF have been paying something every month regularly without defaulting, and we don't need to call anybody before they do that. When they called me for assessment and what have you, I was surprised. What is all about assessments? And after a while, both the arrears of some months from the months that the incident happened was paid, and since then they have been helping. Then coupled with my church, they have been mostly during that period that they were doing a lot of things just to make sure that my family were able to cope. Then when the NSITF came in, you know, they just make the situation more easier. Last month, I was called to come to NSITF for some kind of seminar. They call it Back to Work. So on getting there, you meet different people of challenge like you. So we were able to interact. You discover that, you know, sometimes when you are within the environment, you thought you are the only one. But on getting to that place, I met some people with spinal cord, with different kind of injuries.
Another beneficiary, Nkechi Otipo, lost her husband, a banker, in the line of duty. She has had to shoulder the weight of raising her children alone. But under the Employees Compensation Scheme, NSITF now pays for her children's education and welfare.
He was working in Lagos but transferred to Ibadan. So on his way returning back to work that fateful morning, that's when we had the news of the fatal accident. The journey so far has not been easy, but with the help of NSITF, it made everything easier. They have been paying the school fees, my business. I've used this to start up a business, a palm oil business, you know, and also opened up a soft drink business where I sell drinks, a little bar. Yes, it's true then, I did that. And there is a particular time when some certain things, you know, what you've been given, we have to, because of the age, that's the policy. If I may ask, if there is need for them, you know, for them to see them through, you know, sometimes, you know, that age, and when the thing happened, you might not just see them through university. So that is what, if I should ask for anything, maybe a situation they'll be able to see them, you know, go through university.
She also has strong words for companies yet to key into the program, urging government to compel full compliance so that no family is left stranded.
I want a lot of companies, both public and private sectors, to really key into this if they are aware of the benefits that NSITF has. It's a very big one indeed that can transform lives. It can transform lives for them in terms of any disability, death or anything. If they have not known about it, they should key into it. It's a great deal for me. I just want to say thank you, NSITF, for doing this big gift. It's a big gift for providing for us, for making us smile over again, for giving us a second chance to live.
From hope after disability to survival after loss, the stories of Ademola and Nkechi illustrate both the promise and the gaps in the Nigeria social security system. For them, NSITF has been more than an institution, it has been a safety net in the storm of life. On the profile interview segments this week, I'll be speaking with the Managing Director of the Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund, Barrister Oluwaseun Faleye. It tells me that several ways the management team has been able to improve the services NSITF offer to Nigerian workers. It's good to have you on the program. A lot has happened since our last conversation. Like I said, this is my first interview with you this year.
It's quite surprising to know that.
But of course, there are a lot of activities that you've been doing that I've probably been part of.
Yeah.
And for me, the perception of NSITF is changing. I don't know if you'd like to share with us what the magic is.
There's no magic beyond, of course, the hard work of all of us at NSITF, from the people you engage with at the branches up onto this office. We've, I think, reconnected with our responsibilities, and we're striving to deliver them much more quicker, much more responsibly, with the understanding that really what matters is the sort of feedback and perception like this that we get, and it's still a work in progress.
Okay, it's 1 year in office. Can you give us a recap of what your agenda for the organization has been?
Well, the agenda really is overall in improving service delivery, because we're a service, oriented organization vis-a-vis the claims and compensation we play. So our overall objective has been to streamline, to bring about more efficiency in how we do these things. And we realize that in doing that, we will have to internally do a lot of work to up the skill level of our staffs, build their capacity to be able to do more, provide them with the necessary tools and resources to do these things. Also engage more with our stakeholders, particularly the subscribers, to understand much more what we're all about and what the benefits are to them. And all of those combined is perhaps what is leading to some level of change in perception for us. So the last 1 year really has been dedicated to doing those things and doing them repeatedly and much more efficient.
Talking about subscription, which you just mentioned, what are your observations as regards ensuring that you have more employers of labor come on board to ensure that they are able to protect their employees?
Well, we're making progress in that regard. We've seen marked increase in compliance since the last 1 year. We've seen at least about over 20% increase year on year, and that would mean that some of our advocacy engagements are working. I think we're doing a lot of work, more work to, beyond the private sector, to bring in much public sector employers, both at the federal government, the sub-national level, and towards, local government. It's an effort that is ongoing. We're engaging with state governors to really get their buy-in. But beyond it, for me, the main work to do is in our hands, really. It's about how much we're ready to go out there and speak about the importance and benefit of employee compensation scheme, which is the primary scheme that we run. I've said it several times. Whenever people hear these things, whenever they listen to the benefits or listen to real-time beneficiaries, then the work is almost done. The rest now is not left to how we follow up, how we ensure that the engagement with us is easy. How we ensure that they're able to register, without issues or challenges, and now we also interact with them when they probably have issues or challenges in terms of claims and accidents. So it's really is a touch and feel relationship for both us and subscribers, and it is the improvement of that touch and feel that will drive more people into the scheme, and that's really our objective.
So far, can you put a price or a tag on the number of beneficiaries that NSITF has been able to reach in recent times?
In recent times, I know for a fact that we reached over 111,000 beneficiaries. With a daily thing, so the beneficiaries are with us, on a long-term basis. I know for Lagos, some of these checks that you're mentioning, where we've paid people over 30 million naira, and that same person is collecting 500,000 naira monthly. that person is a beneficiary, will always be a beneficiary until. So we have a lot of them on our payroll that we're servicing, paying claims to, and all of that. So it's really for us an ongoing relationship.
Still talking about beneficiaries, I remember very clearly that when I was engaging some of the beneficiaries, they were like, it's a beautiful concept. They never knew it existed, but now they know it exists and it's sorting their bills, it's paying their children's school fees, but they still want more. From my observation, two things resonated with me. They are asking for a review of the act, that there's certain age that maybe the children might not be able to benefit. And I know that you engaged with the legislative arm of government recently. What are the engagements? What are the conversations that you're having with the legislative arm of government to ensure that people can benefit more and there's absolute confidence in the system?
We're engaging with the National Assembly. That part of that engagement is perhaps one of our last few activities where we ran into each other. It's really sort of to speak to the legislators as to what our challenges are on the field, being the operators of the scheme, and see how they can help with that. With respect to the age provision in the law for beneficiaries, it's 20. What we have presently is 21 years. So you've seen places where we're paying dependents of deceased subscribers up till the time that their last child is 21, which presupposes that they will have gone to school, they will have graduated, and then move on to hopefully gainful employment. So that, we think, is enough period for this support to evolve into self-sustenance.
So enrollment enforcement, what would be your recommendation as regards penalties, because it's a system that is working?
The recommendations are wide-ranging, but from a compliance perspective, it's to, one, take us from the point of it has to be thought through widely. We like to encourage voluntary compliance, where the work and the benefits speaks and drives people towards compliance. On that part, we have a role to play, and the citizens, the employers also have a role to play in, first and foremost, adhering and obeying the law of the land, which is what the ECA is. And of course, when that is done and we find that there are still gaps, we find that people are not, voluntarily obeying, then we must have mechanisms in place that allows for enforcement, because we cannot allow certain recalcitrant employers then drag the resilience of our employment or labor force down. So even the practitioners, the HR executives, the directors must first and foremost understand that they are employees, and this law is in itself for their benefit. The second thing is to then accept that if we increase rates, it is not just going to be arbitrary increase. It will be driven by different factors. What are your accidents profile or risk profile within your sector or industry? What are your HSC historical data? And of course, the clear manifestation of the efficacy of your HSC data and compliance level will result in your risk profile. If you have a higher threshold of HSC compliance, you probably have lower risk profile. And anytime I make those sort of arguments, I refer to the construction industry. The construction industry is very prone to accidents. The people, whether casual workers or full-time workers, they are still Nigerians. They are still people that deserve protection, and we must work towards protecting them. So all of this is really, and most importantly, the argument we're having about what total emolument is or should be really also inures to the benefit of the employee. Because when accidents happen, if you've worked by way of technicality, reduce their basics for calculating what you've been subscribing on their behalf. Their payout during accidents, when they need it most, when they are most vulnerable, will be based on that calculation. So it means that they will get less, or and so we must understand these things when we even on the platform of being advocates for employers. Also understand that, look, the employees also have, and we need to balance those.
This takes me to one of my observations, looking at what you've been able to do in the last 12 months. You seem to have this advocacy, which is social insurance for all, and which also transcends to informal workers being captured by NSITF. I don't know if you'd like to share with the viewers what plans you have, what is the modus operandi for informal workers to benefit from the NSITF scheme.
Okay, and the reason why we're focused on the informal economy is because we believe that that's where the majority of the Nigerian workforce, are. And if we're to create any sort of backbone that is, held by the social safety net that, workers all over the world enjoy, which we have here, is to be able to provide employee compensation scheme for that workforce. How we'll do it will always vary because of the dynamism of that sector. There's no one cap fit, or what really affects the organizers are different from what affects the tailors, are different from what affects certain like associations like road transport workers and all of that. But what we've been able to do is to really engage at that macro level. Speaking and engaging with the associations. Recently, we've partnered with SMIDAN in a way that all of SMIDAN's outreach, all of SMIDAN's engagements, NSITF is always going to be a component of it, where we're then advocating, we're then talking about the benefits, because ultimately, the starting point is really letting every worker, and indeed every employer, understand what this is all about. You know that when you go around and speak to even the most enlightened people, they don't know what NSITF does. They don't know the benefits that they can get from NSITF. So at the informal level is advocacy.
Would you say that every federal government worker now is an enrollee of NSITF scheme?
Yes, in the sense that from all of the engagement I've had with the Office of the Head of Service, she's very, very passionate about enrolling in the federal civil servants enrolling in employee compensation scheme. She's giving us all of the support, availed us of our platform, and used the advocacy of our office, the power of our office, to ensure that the civil servants embrace the scheme. And that's a key objective for us. And this is really in fulfillment of the President's Renewed Hope agenda, where he mentioned specifically that he will provide social services, social support for all federal civil servants, or indeed any civil servants in the country who are giving their best to the development of the country, and we want to make sure that it's done.
Collaboration and enrollment, how does this affect industrial harmony in the country?
It does, because welfare is at the heart of industrial harmony. If employees believe that their interest, their welfare is paramount and is being taken seriously, then to even have conversations on other industrial issues become easier. And and for me, that's the starting point. If we are to ask every employee to give their best, then you must demonstrate to that employee that accidents, which are bound to happen in the course of work, will be well compensated for, and that we're not just going to let them rot away should those sort of accidents happen. The feedback we're getting is encouraging. It encourages us to do more, and the expectation from Nigerians should not be less than excellent service.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember that labor creates wealth.